this time the gang is stuck in the 60s. So I was wondering if you would be stuck in the 60s as well, what would you miss from the present that wasn't available back then?
Oh, I think, I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is sports. You know, the way people play sports now, the how the athletes have evolved into these physical specimens. You know, I think if I go back to the 60s, it'd be hard to enjoy that.
Diego, he wants to undo a big tragedy from the 60s. So I was wondering if you would be able to go back to go back in time to undo anything. Doesn't have to be a big thing like the one from Diego. Can be anything like an audition that went wrong, maybe, or something else. If you would be able to go back in time to change the outcome of a day, would you?
No, I wouldn't, because it would just mess up everything to what it is today, and you might not even be born. Neither will I. You know, so it's a very dangerous thing to start messing with those things. You know, and I want to keep you alive, Carmine.
Right. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
What I like about the second season is that not only do we get to see the nostalgic side of the 60s, but also the problems that they were experiencing back then. And some of the problems we still have today, like the police violence against Black people, for example. But I also think the show shows us that we should also never forget how much previous generations have already achieved in all these years, and that it's absolutely worth fighting for equal rights. Would you agree?
Yes. I mean, the fight always evolves. You know, it always evolves. And I think that it's right now we're in a place where it is evolving again, like the civil rights movements and like in 1963, where we take place in the Umbrella show.
What I like about the show is also that, you know, you have political stuff in there, but it's not forced. It feels organic, because sometimes you watch movies or television shows where you feel like that the political stuff is center and story and characters are second. So I didn't feel that this with the Umbrella Academy. So I was wondering, how important is it for you to have character and story still first?
Well, I think the moment you start preaching is the moment you lose the audience. So it's a very subliminal way of showing something, and if the people like it and they connect to it, then they realize why do they connect to it. And given the fact that it takes place in the 60s with everything that's going on, if we make it about that and that only, everyone will know you're talking to us. And so no one wants to be talked to us. They want to have a dialogue. And the audience, when they watch something, want to feel like they want to have a dialogue, whether they can go home and they can talk about it with anyone else. And so the fact that we're diverse and we have all of these issues that we're talking about on the show, but we never make it about that. We make it about the people, and it's about the people that are faced with trauma.
I also like that we have with Klaus, for example, we have a normalized gay character, because we have like we had like gay characters before in television shows like 10, 15 years ago, but it was like it was about them coming out, and that was it. You know, there was not something deeper to it. And here it's a total normal thing, how it should be. And we have Klaus like dealing with deeper stuff with him losing his boyfriend during war. So I was wondering, would you say that normalizing gay characters in TV has normalized it for the audience as well?
I believe so. I mean, it's you know, it's like life imitating art, you know, and the other way around. I mean, if we make it a big deal, then it is going to be a big deal. I think the fact that Klaus is himself unapologetically allows people in the world, not just whether they're gay or not, to just be unapologetic and to realize that family is still going to love you. It doesn't matter. And I think that's what the Umbrella is. The Umbrella Academy, they love Klaus. As much as they might hate him, but they don't hate him because of what he likes. They hate him because of his vices and how detrimental to his own character. That's it.
These are the 60s. So you haven't experienced the 60s in real life because you're too young. So haven't I. I was wondering, if because with this show you could go in any directions, you could show the 80s, the 90s, and all the times. Would you find it nostalgic to go to revisit the 90s or early 2000s, the times that you experienced yourself?
I would love it. I think it would be the funniest thing. I think if we can go to the early 2000s where, like, Master P, Lil Romeo, and then you have like the Yin Yang Twins, and then maybe one of the characters becomes like a music manager for one of these big record labels like Def Jam or Rockefeller.
Yeah.
That'd be actually really fun. And like, you'd be having like the Nokia big old brick phones,
Right.
Yeah.
That'd be fun. You have like endless possibilities with the show.
I think so. And I'm really excited to see what is going to happen.
Something which is very exciting is that the Umbrella Academy, it's not a typical comic book story. You have like a traditional formula that is on the big screen, and even if they feel like repetitive, they might still be good. But the Umbrella Academy, I felt like it's very unpredictable. Even though I watch so many movies and television shows, it feels unpredictable. But sometimes it feels like that some people go like, okay, I want to see something fresh and new. And then when they get it, they feel like, okay, this is too fresh and new. It's too far away from what I usually see. Yeah. So it seems like a risky thing to do something new and fresh. So I was wondering, since you also write screenplays, I was wondering, what do you think how challenging it has become to develop a fresh and new direction within a established franchise like the superhero franchise, and making it in a way that makes the audience accept the unpredictable and the new formula?
Well, I think that's kind of like the Houdini, right? So like you show them the really, really shiny thing and you'd be like, this is what you know, this is what you know. And then you just kind of flip it on them, right? I think Umbrella does a really good, Steve Blackman, who writes, who's the creator of the show, the showrunner, he's really good at that. And that gives, there's a lot of hope in that, because you don't have to follow the exact formula of every superhero movie or show to be successful. Right. People have seen it over and over again. And you're right. When you give it to them too fresh and too new, most likely it will get panned. You look at something like Fight Club was something that when it first came out, people didn't know how to interpret it. And obviously through time, you get to understand it and you get to see the deeper meaning behind it. So yeah, I think it's really important to break those boundaries and not so much be afraid of what the audience might think. I think if you're truthful to the story you want to tell, eventually it'll find its audience.
Absolutely. David, thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure talking to you, and much success with the second season.
Thank you, Carmine. I appreciate you, man. Thank
you. Bye.